Hello and welcome to a Wednesday live right here on the early line on SportsGrid and all across the SportsGrid network. That includes sportsgrid.com/watch, where you can find your favorite destination to consume everything all across the grid. He is Donnie Rightside. I am Ben Stevens, live together for the next 3 hours up until 11 a.m. Eastern time, bright and early on this Wednesday, ahead of another full slate around Major League Baseball and recapping and reacting to a full Tuesday slate in the bigs as well. We are now under a week away from the All-Star break in Major League Baseball. Final week of action to get in that positioning that you need for the stretch run following the All-Star break in late July into August, and of course DRS, the final month of this MLB campaign in September. Do not believe the Midsummer Classic next week marks the midway point of this MLB season. We are well past it. Teams playing into the 90s in terms of the games they have contested throughout this regular season in the long sprint of 162. We'll go around both associations, some NBA offseason news, some news in the WNBA, the All-Star teams picked last night by Captain Clark and Captain Collier as well. Plenty to break down. And DRS, it is still a month of football here in July. We'll continue our NFL playoff profiles in our second hour here on this Wednesday.
Been a while since the All-Star games have actually mattered to the public out here. As you pointed out, they chose teams for the WNBA. Had no idea that was going on. Why? Because nobody cares about any All-Star game, which includes the Major League Baseball All-Star game. You know, Major League Baseball All-Star game is lucky. Like, they have it when nothing is going on. Can you imagine a Major League Baseball All-Star game like in November once the World Series is over? Would that even draw 3 people watching it during football season? So if we just collapse the All-Star game, I would like that. But yesterday, Major League Baseball, boy, we were on our P's and Q's. The Phillies under yesterday versus San Francisco, even though they had a walk-off 3-run home run, which is wild. He also took like nobody beats the Miz there in Milwaukee. We told you it was a bounce-back spot for him. Gives up a solo home run to the first batter of the game and absolutely is electric over the next 6 innings. A lot of good stuff. The Toronto Blue Jays absolutely wrecking people at the plate. Great time in Major League Baseball. Hot and soupy air, and we're cashing in tickets.
10 straight wins for the Jays. Only a 7-inning affair yesterday against the Chicago White Sox. That guy is ready for some Major League Baseball recaps. We'll do that for the remainder of this opening hour, going around a full slate Tuesday, bright and early on this Wednesday. But I mentioned Captain Caitlin Clark, one of the captains of the 2 WNBA All-Star teams. That coming our way in 2 weekends from now, Saturday, July 19th, in Caitlin's, not hometown, but where she resides currently in Indianapolis. She and Nafisa Collier picking their teams yesterday. And more good news for CC. She is set to make her return after missing the previous 5 games in a row for the Fever today on this Wednesday as they take on the Golden State Valkyries. It is camp day around the W. That's a noon Eastern tip in Indianapolis as the Fever host the Valkyries. Caitlin Clark has missed 10 games already this year, DRS. I'm sure everybody is happy to have her back on the floor.
Yep, and so are the ratings, so is the WNBA. Or maybe the WNBA doesn't want her back on the court and wish she just went away and just retired and never played again, according to some of the comments that they make from time to time. But she's the biggest star on the planet in the WNBA. She will play tonight, and we'll enjoy that. And by the way, on Moneyline yesterday, Kevin Walsh and myself during camp day were fading the WNBA teams. Kevin had a bet that was under 2.5 points in the first minute. They only scored 1 point. I had under.
Nice.
2 3-point shots made over the first 3 minutes. They didn't make a single one of those. And also each team not to score in the first minute. We cashed in on that as well. Fun time in the WNBA. Just fade them. It's automatic dollars.
Money line rolling again today at 11 a.m. Eastern during some camp day action. More WNBA best bets. Without Caitlin Clark in this 5-game run, the Fever did win the Commissioner's Cup against the Minnesota Lynx. But of course, Caitlin Clark missing 5 previous games in the opening month of the season due to a left quad injury. This a groin injury. We hope Clark is back and healthy. More bad news, though, from an injury perspective yesterday in the W. Reigning MVP A'ja Wilson did not return in the second half of Vegas's loss on the road in Brooklyn against the New York Liberty. The Liberty desperately needed to win. They did, behind 28 points from Sabrina Ionescu, but not great news for Las Vegas, stumbling this year, and now did not have A'ja Wilson last night in the second half.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's the Aces' year at this point, right? So hopefully that injury does not turn out to be a long-term injury. Hopefully she could play in the All-Star game and certainly after the All-Star game in a playoff run. But I guess we're waiting on some extra X-rays that are coming in to tell us the true tale here.
The Aces, with the loss last night in New York, dropped to below 500, 9-10. 5 participants now listed for Monday's Home Run Derby during All-Star Week. We got to start picking this up a little bit, but participant number 5, O'Neal Cruz of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
It's not Giancarlo Stanton. It's not the polar bear, Pete Alonso. It's not Aaron Judge. I don't care. Don't announce these names unless I get the true power hitters of baseball in this All-Star game lineup. And by the way, you make me commissioner, I'll put all 3 of those in there. They don't want to play, they don't play the rest of the season. How about that? Put that in there.
Ooh,
huh? Yeah.
The iron fist of Mr. Rightside. Nikola Jokic.
Yep.
Yeah, they certainly do, especially Polar Bear Pete, who has been just a home run derby champion. Now, I believe 3 times, at least multiple times. And you got the home run leaders, Aaron Judge. Cal Raleigh will be there. Shout out to Big Dumper. Nikola Jokic signing a 5-year, $276 million extension back in the summer of 2022. Says that he will delay extension talks with Denver until next summer. Is something afoot? Not necessarily. If he waits until the summer of 2026, the Joker can add on an additional year to his extension to the tune of nearly $80 million.
Put a microphone in front of Jokic, just like when they won the championship and they told him I had to stay an extra 2 days here. I got to play more than my contract? I don't even like basketball. I just want to race horses. Oh, man, I don't want to sign this. Yep, that's exactly what he's going through right now.
He might be busy racing horses right now in Serbia. That's why he can't focus on the money's dollars and cents. Anthony Davis had surgery earlier this week to repair a detached retina. But do not fear, Mavericks fans, as we build the optimism for this upcoming campaign. AD set to return by the beginning of training camp.
Eye surgery. Oh, my God. Like, I had LASIK surgery back in 2007. It was one of the craziest experiences you can have. So anytime I hear an operation on an eye, man, that's an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, no doubt about it. My dad, early adopter of LASIK back in the early 2000s, messed up his flap, DRS. He had to drive down to San Diego to get that repaired. So I do hear it, not to bring back bad memories. But the Brow gets eye surgery. Don't worry, he should be ready. Speaking of injuries to stars in Big D, Dak Prescott, of course, who did not play a majority of last season for the Cowboys, says he will be, quote, a full go by the start of camp for the Cowboys.
But will Micah Parsons be full go? That might be the bigger question right now. But yes, I mean, the guy had all season. Of course, he's going to be at training camp. But since we're waiting on football news, this is certainly big news that a healthy guy will be healthy at training camp. Let's go.
And that's a key for Dallas. When Dak has been healthy, they have been much better than that 7.5 win total entering this year. The Cowboys show up to camp a week from this upcoming Monday. How about the Club World Cup, DRS? You've been paying attention? Chelsea now needs only one more win to win the first ever Club World Cup. They could meet PSG or Real Madrid in the final on Sunday, July 17th. July 13th, excuse me. That's this upcoming weekend.
Yeah, they beat Fluminense, which I think is the sister company to Sudafed out there. So congratulations, Chelsea, on the big victory. Yeah, I never even heard of that.
Allergies still raging throughout these summer months. All right, MLB recaps. I didn't hear what you said. You want to take it a break? Take it a break.
Allegra. What show was that from? What's that stand for? Oh, taking a break. We'll be right back.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all. It's
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's In-Game Live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip, try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Live right here on this Wednesday morning on the Early Line on SportsGrid, a Wednesday ahead of a full slate in the Major League Baseball ranks. And of course, yesterday on a Tuesday, all 30 clubs in action, 15 games, a full slate in the midweek around MLB. DRS, we break it all down here on this Wednesday morning. The New York Mets, an amazing rally yesterday in Baltimore against the O's. The Mets trailing 6-2, entering the top of the 8th inning. And then the bats woke up. Francisco Lindor, a 2-run shot, followed by 2 batters later with Juan Soto on base, a 2-run shot out of Polar Bear Pete Alonso to tie the game at 6-all. We go to extras in the top of the 10th. Juan Soto, an RBI single. That would be the game winner. The New York Mets rally to beat Baltimore late, 7-6 yesterday to start this midweek set.
Yeah, big win. You always love those comebacks, right? Usually get them early in the innings. Like, hey, you have a big 4th, 5th, or 6th inning. You had to wait till the 8th inning and the top of the 8th inning to get that job with 4 runs here. But also understand this, 3 knocks in that game for Soto. The biggest one coming in extra innings here to knock home the game-winning run. The Baltimore Orioles weren't able to respond in the bottom of the 10th inning. 11 hits for the Mets. I've always liked that offense. The questions are, can that starting pitching staff sort of keep you in ball games? And technically yesterday, Clay Holmes, 5 innings pitched, 5 earned runs, not good enough. But if you win games where your starting pitcher gives up 5 earned, you're doing a pretty good job at the plate, and the Mets did that yesterday.
Yeah, they certainly did, DRS. Juan Soto, not an all-star, but Carlos Mendoza saying he is our all-star after delivering the game-winning ribby yesterday. And for the New York Mets, of course, they entered the Subway Series this past weekend, not playing their best baseball, 45-24 for the Amazons way back now nearly a month ago on June 12th. At the time, by a half game, the best record in the bigs, even in front of the Detroit Tigers. As we have detailed numerous times, that once proud organization in June, dropping 13 of its final 16 last month, lost its first game in July, but has won 4 of its last 5 entering this week, now make it 5 of their previous 6. The New York Mets, a big victory in DRS because of a Phillies loss we'll detail later in San Francisco. We've got a tie atop the National League East once again between the Mets and the Phils. How about that other New York team? Also in the last 2.5, 3 weeks, not playing its best brand of baseball. The Yankees, after dropping the Subway Series, although avoiding the sweep on Sunday, having a day off, returning to the Bronx in the quick trip from Queens, and got off to a big start yesterday. A ton of power at the dish. Giancarlo Stanton goes deep. Austin Wells goes deep. Aaron Judge hits a late solo shot in the 7th. Now, big dumper Cal Raleigh did respond later in the game for the Mariners, but it was really once the game was out of hand. The Pinstripes pick up a win to start their midweek series against Seattle, 10-3 yesterday inside Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, look at the first 5 innings, only 1 run scored there. So if you had the under in the first 5 with those 2 pitchers, congratulations. After that, all mayhem broke out, which included Logan Gilbert, 5 1/3 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. He was cruising until the 5th inning, then he got lumped up to start the 6th inning here. Just what happens. We told you yesterday that high ERA over the past 60 days, but a really low xFIP number actually caught up to him late in that game, and the ERA certainly going higher and higher for Logan Gilbert. But you got what you paid for yesterday. If you're a Yankee fan or just a fan of baseball, you said, I just want to see some home runs from the big boys out there. Boy, you got them yesterday in spades at Yankee Stadium. Offense came alive, scoring 10 total runs between the 5th and 7th inning to put away the Mariners. Yankees bats waking up, certainly a good sign there in the Bronx.
That home run race, DRS, because both that man you see there, 99 in pinstripes, and the man with the big behind, the catcher for Seattle, Cal Raleigh, did hit a home run yesterday, kind of when the game was out of balance, as we have detailed. 36 homers for Raleigh, 34 homers for Judge. The other guy, north of 30 home runs this year, Shohei Ohtani, did go deep as well yesterday in Milwaukee. We'll break it down. And of course, DRS, it's important for the Pinstripes to find their footing. The Yankees entered Tuesday's slate, dropping 9 of their last 13, 16 of their last 23, also since June 12th when they were 42-25 and held a 4.5-game lead in the American League East. They entered yesterday 3.5 games behind the Toronto Blue Jays, and that's where they remain. Why? Toronto has now made it 10 consecutive wins. Rain-shortened game yesterday on the south side of Chicago, but the result, no difference for the Jays. They win 6-1 against the White Sox to make it 10 straight dubs.
Yeah, cash in a team total in that game, too. Only needed 7 innings to do it as they played at 6 runs. That was the expectations. Savali was on the mound. That's a guy you absolutely have to fade. And the Jays, through 7 innings, 12 hits. So who knows? Maybe if they played the full 9, you get an extra 6 at-bats or extra 6 outs. You put up 7 or 8 runs in that game. Boy, the Jays are hot. The White Sox are not. This is perfect for the Jays. Head into that All-Star break on an absolute tear, and looks like they're going to do that.
DRS, you laid out the schedule for Toronto and what they have in the final few days before the break. If the Yankees drop a couple this week against the Mariners, although they played at 10, beating Seattle last night, it could be larger than a 3.5-game lead by the time we get to the Midsummer Classic on Tuesday or the end of our action come Sunday night. A lot to break down around the American League East. And as we shared yesterday, just an update in the odds. The Yankees an even money favorite at plus 100. The Blue Jays back by 20 cents, plus 120. Those will be odds to pay attention to the remainder of this summer. The Yankees trail by 3.5 games, DRS, and yet are still the favorites to win the American League East.
Yeah, and again, ebbs and flows of baseball season. The Yankees were the better team to sort of start the season. The Jays are on an absolute tear. There'll be a time where the Blue Jays are losing 3 out of 4 games, 5 out of 6 games, and maybe if the Yankees are on a win streak, can certainly make that up. But as we pointed out, continue to be bad baseball teams like the White Sox, and then you go and take on the Sacramento Athletics here this weekend. The Jays can really run up a total here, and if the Yankees aren't careful, they might find themselves 5+ games back at the All-Star break, which is something you don't want to be.
3.5 at this moment as Toronto keeps on winning, and the slate for the Blue Jays only continues to stay easy. Just 7 innings yesterday in a rain-shortened affair against the Chicago White Sox. The other Chicago team on the road in Minneapolis, 3rd start since his return from early May in injuries for the Cubbies ace in Shota Imanaga. And in these 3 starts, DRS, his first L in those 3 outings since his return in early May. We'll break down how the Twins got the better of the Cubbies and Imanaga, who only allowed 2 earned yesterday and still recorded that loss. Next.
I say, you crank that Soldier Boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Hit the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that Soldier Boy up here. Yep. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior high school, or maybe even in grade school?
Dude.
Then?
Bar mitzvah slate. In the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend. The young Benny Steve was out there hitting it.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, Houston beat the snot out of the Dodgers, 18-1. And this is what happens here. Oral Hershiser doing the game for the Dodgers brings up the cheating scandal, going, oh, they must know the science because they're hitting curveballs that they know it's coming. It's like, oh boy, did you really want to go down that rabbit hole again here? I think this is one of those nights where they got destroyed. Yeah, hey, it happens in baseball here. But just found that an interesting comment by Oral Hershiser. Start bringing up the cheating scandal again.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Things you have to look at is what the team has the following day, especially when it comes to bullpen usage. You know, a lot of the things I like to attack is you see these extra inning games, these games get drawn out, these bullpens get worn, or if someone gets shelled the first 3 innings and they got to go to the pen, early, that's a good spot to kind of hop in the middle of the next game. You got a tired bullpen, right? You try and take advantage there, maybe with an over, maybe with the money line. You're getting plus money on a favorite at that point.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Tony Gwynn had 107 career at-bats against Greg Maddux. Never struck out once.
Oh, that's nuts.
In 107 times. 107. Cam, if you took the modern player and said, are you going to face Maddux 107 times in a row? Like Vlad Guerrero Jr. and these guys, they'd strike out like 62 times type thing.
Exactly.
They'd be like 80 times. They'd be like whiffing.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
A full slate Tuesday around Major League Baseball to continue to recap here in this opening hour. You want recaps? We got them on the early line. DRS third start for Shota Imanaga after not pitching since the beginning of May, of course, was on the IL. He had won his first 2, but last week did allow 3 earned against Cleveland, all 3 via a solo home run. The Cubbies had just ended up winning those games by the time Imanaga left the bump. Yesterday, not the same story. The Cubs lose 8-1 against the Twins. You might be thinking, oh boy, did Imanaga get shelled in Minneapolis? Not necessarily. Gave up 2 earned in the opening frame, but that was it. The Twins scored 6 more in the home half of the 8th to really extend that lead and pull away from Chicago. But the first loss for Imanaga in his 3 outings since returning from that absence, again, did not pitch since the beginning portion of May. The Twins pick up a victory yesterday at home.
Yeah, I liked the Twins yesterday and took them on a cheap price at 3.5. It was actually expensive there, but I didn't want to take the 4.5 at plus money on the team total. It's one of those, Ben, where you say, you got to be kidding me. You get 2 runs right off the bat in the first inning. Like, I need 2 more runs the rest of the way for the Twins, and I'm sitting here going into the 8th inning with still 2 runs going, like, I can't believe I'm going to lose this game. The Twins plated 6 runs in the 8th inning, which was fantastic. Actually pushed the game over technically by themselves to a Cubbies. Actually got a run in the 9th inning. But the most important thing, though, about this is Imanaga was decent here. 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. You'll take that every time from your starter. But here's what you don't like here. How about only 1 strikeout over those 6 innings for Imanaga as he works his way back into it? I thought the Twins were the better team last night, and they clearly were. But boy, oh boy, I had to sweat that team total out. But for Imanaga, going 6, you like that. You just want to see the K rate get up a little bit.
Simeon Woods Richardson, the young starter for the Twins, 5 innings of shutout baseball against the Cubbies. It was Justin Turner late hitting a solo home run for Chicago, their lone offense of that game. And DRS, it's so true, right? The Cubs top spot in the National League Central, although they are giving some chase right now by the Milwaukee Brewers. The biggest question for Chicago, not the bats, not the offense, although not a great day yesterday, of course, in the Twin Cities. How will the arms fare? Imanaga injured early. He is now back. Of course, Justin Steele out for the remainder of this season for the Cubs. By the time we get to the postseason, how will that Cubs starting staff look? Matthew Boyd, the veteran 34-year-old, is an all-star for the first time in his big league career this year. They need a lot more of that. The Cubs, as DRS alluded to, were the favorites yesterday in Minneapolis. The Twins win outright as a dog. The Astros yesterday at home, a hefty $2 favorite against the Cleveland Guardians, who entered this midweek set against one of the hottest teams in baseball in Houston, dropping 10 straight. They've now won 2 in a row. And yesterday, DRS, the reason Houston was not just favored at home, but such a strong favorite, they were going up against Hunter Brown, who entered yesterday with the best ERA in baseball, a 1.82 number. Brown allowed 6 earned, the most he has given up in a single start all year long. And then in extra innings, a grand salami for Cleveland wins it. The Guardians have taken both of the 2 games this week in H-Town. This one in extras, winning 10-6.
Now, let me ask you this question. This game was 6-6 entering into extra innings. Do you know what the Houston Astros were at the plate with runners in scoring position? 2 of 21, and they still got 6 runs. Can you imagine if they were average there? That would have been a football score, 14-10 final. So my takeaway was, I can't believe the Guardians are waking up at the plate and scoring 10 runs now. It's impressive, and maybe they can add them back to a team total look sooner than later. But the Astros plating 6 runs, but having 21 opportunities to place even more, that's incredible they lost that game. How can you be so inefficient with runners in scoring position? That's incredible.
They were down 6-1, DRS, after the top of the 4th. They did rally, scoring multiple runs in the bottom of the 8th to even force extras. And then Angel Martinez with that grand slam for the Guardians, the winner yesterday in Houston. Despite Cleveland playing better, the Detroit Tigers are just the best, not only in baseball, but of course atop the American League Central. Now a 14-game lead for Detroit, as they have won 5 straight. They were a slight underdog or a pick'em price to start off the week at home against Tampa. Won that opening game with Kiner Montero on the bump. Yesterday, Jack Flaherty delivers another win for the Tigers. They knock off the Rays 4-2.
Yeah, back-to-back performances for the Rays at the plate. Not so hot against the Detroit Tigers, but another victory for the Tigers here, plating 2 in the bottom of the 7th, and away they go. Good baseball team, man, even if people don't want to buy in just yet to them.
Colt Keith scored a couple of runs in the opener, had that 2-run home run that was the game winner in the bottom of the 7th for Detroit at home yesterday. Again, plenty more MLB recaps from a full Tuesday slate here on a Wednesday morning on the Early Line next.
I say, you crank that Soldier Boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Get the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that Soldier Boy up here. Yeah. I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior high school? Or maybe even in grade school?
Bar mitzvah slate. In the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend. The young Benny Steve was out there hitting it.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
I mean, Houston beat the snot out of the Dodgers, 18-1. And this is what happens here. Oral Hershiser doing the game for the Dodgers brings up the cheating scandal, going, they must know the science because they're hitting curveballs that they know it's coming. It's like, oh boy, did you really want to go down that rabbit hole again here? I think this is one of those nights where they got destroyed. Yeah, hey, it happens in baseball here. But just found that an interesting comment by Oral Hershiser. Start bringing up the cheating scandal again.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Things you have to look at is what the team has the following day, especially when it comes to bullpen usage. You know, a lot of the things I like to attack is you see these extra inning games, these games get drawn out, these bullpens get worn, or if someone gets shelled the first 3 innings and they got to go to the pen, early, that's a good spot to kind of hop in the middle of the next game. You got a tired bullpen, right? You try and take advantage there, maybe with an over, maybe with a money line. We're getting plus money on a favorite at that point.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Tony Gwynn had 107 career at-bats against Greg Maddux. Never struck out once.
Oh, that's nuts.
In 107 times. 107. Cam, if you took the modern player and said, are you going to face Maddux 107 times in a row? Like Vlad Guerrero Jr. and these guys, they'd strike out like 62 times type thing.
Exactly.
It'd be like 80 times. It'd be like whiffing.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
We continue our Major League Baseball recaps in the opening hour of this Wednesday, live right here on the Early Line. DRS, a focus now on the National League West. A divisional duel playing out this week at Petco. We thought it might be a low-scoring game last night in San Diego, and it was. Only one run between the Padres and the D-backs. Maybe not our expectations. Some excellent defense. Both Jackson Merrill and Fernando Tatis Jr. robbing a couple of runs with some defense for the D-backs yesterday. Pitching Nick Pivetta, great, 5 2/3, only a couple of base knocks. Merrill Kelly, really good on the other side for Arizona, just one bad pitch. And that led to Luis Arias hitting one over the wall, the only run of the game. San Diego beats Arizona 1-0 yesterday at Petco.
Yeah, about what we thought too, right? 1-0. Well, I mean, it's a little bit lower than what the actual expectations for the under would be, but two good pitchers on the mound in a pitcher's ballpark. Usually the pitchers will win out. And as you said, Nick Pivetta, 5 2/3 innings pitched, only 2 hits given up. Merrill Kelly, 7 innings pitched, only 4 hits given up. But one of those runs, as you said, was a home run. Both of these guys were dealing left and right. Defensive plays were made out there. And watching that late one there from Fernando Tatis in right field, who did steal a home run. Interesting times, man. Look, you'll take wins any way that you can get them. I'm just waiting on that San Diego Padres lineup to sort of wake up and see what kind of trades they make before the deadline here. Just give me a little juice in that lineup. They got pitching, they got bullpen. We just got to get that hitting timely now as they improve to 49 and 42 on the season.
Let's keep it in the National League West, where the Dodgers, oh boy, they have dropped 5 games in a row because yesterday they went up against Big Miz in Milwaukee. First batter of the game. The Brewers' young rook throwing against Shohei Ohtani. Got him on an 0-2 count. But then on pitch number 3 of the game, Shohei Ohtani takes it yard for, I believe, his 31st home run of the year. How did Big Miz respond? Beautifully. Did not allow another earned run. Clayton Kershaw, the veteran against the big rook, was pretty good yesterday, but did suffer his first loss of the year as the Brewers win 3-1, taking both of the opening 2 games this week in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I thought it was a good spot for the young kid in a bounce back here. As we talked about yesterday, left-handed batters were getting the best of them. We even told you, hey, man, Shohei Ohtani might have some damage. He really hits lefties well. First batter of the game, he hits a home run. Like, oh, no, maybe the Miz isn't back on the mound, but he was sensational after that home run here, completely shutting down that Dodgers lineup. 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run, 12 strikeouts, lowering his ERA down to a 2.81. And also, credit Clayton Kershaw. Threw 100 pitches in his last start, an emotional night, getting 3,000 strikeout. Then to go on the road, I was sort of having a little bit of a fade on him. But you tell me before the game, honestly, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. I think the Dodgers probably win that game. But that's how good the Miz was on the opposite side. Plus money number for the Brewers, even though like, oh, the Dodgers can't lose another game. No, we told you. They were probably going to lose another game yesterday, and they did.
Yes, they certainly did, DRS. And Big Miz, 12 Ks, came right out the gate. The first pitch to Shohei Ohtani, 100 miles per hour. And because of the performances we have seen out of Jacob Mizorowski this year, a minus 185 price on him to win National League Rookie of the Year. He has been absolutely dealing. And the Brew Crew have been playing great baseball, DRS, since the end of May. We detailed it yesterday. They were a few games below 500 on May 24th. Now the record, 52-40. Just 2.5 games back of the Chicago Cubs for that top spot in the National League Central. And the Brew Crew have won 12 of their last 17. Looking for the sweep, a little bit of afternoon baseball at American Family Field or American Family Life Field, whatever it's called there in the great state of Wisconsin. DRS, we had not seen an inside-the-park walk-off home run in Major League Baseball in nearly a decade. The last one in 2016. That all changed late night by the Bay in San Francisco. The Giants trailing 3-1 against your Philadelphia Phillies. The catcher, Patrick Bailey, up at the dish. Rockets one to right center. Off the brick out there deep at AT&T Park. And off the brick, it clambers and rolls around, allowing Bailey and the two runners who were on for San Francisco to easily scoot home. A walk-off inside the park home run for Patrick Bailey. The Giants rally to win 4-3.
Yeah, big time win there for the Giants, 51-42 now. And also understand this, the Philadelphia Phillies couldn't touch Robbie Ray through 5 innings, got one off him in the 6th here, which seemed like a miracle. And then you had a Kyle Schwarber splashdown 2-run home run in the 7th inning. That should have been all she wrote in that ballpark, and still it wasn't. And how about this? Hey, a walk-off inside the park, 3-run home run in the bottom of the 9th. That'll kill my under right there. No, it didn't. The final score, 4-3. Told you yesterday, Robbie Ray was going to shut down the Phillies, and he did. Not a great offense for the Giants. And even though we did have a 2-run home run and a 3-run home run. Get that, Ben, right? Hey, by the way, I'm going to tell you before the game, a 2-run home run and a 3-run home run. That game stays under 7.5 runs? No way. That game did last night because that's the way it was supposed to happen. Phillies will win this afternoon, but yesterday, there was no way they were beating them, even though they needed a 3-run walk-off inside the park home run to do it.
Yeah, DRS, a little bit of afternoon baseball today as well out there in San Francisco because it is the third and final game of this midweek set. The Giants look for the sweep. Donnie says otherwise. Taijuan Walker not bad yesterday for the Phils, either on the bump, but the Phillies just haven't had much offense so far this week out in San Francisco. The Giants have taken the opening 2 games of this midweek set. You might be thinking, well, the Dodgers have dropped 5 in a row. The Giants have now won 4 in a row, 6 of their last 7. What's that lead like in the National League West now for LA? Still 5 games over the Giants, 6 games in front of the Padres. Offense was not an issue, finally, for the Texas Rangers last night in the greater Southern California area in Anaheim. The Rangers scoring 13 runs, DRS, against LA, beating the Halos 13-1.
Yeah, finally waking up here again. Corey Seager with another home run. Absolutely love to see that. But when you take a look at getting guys in scoring position, 6 of 16 here with runners in scoring position. On the other side, how about 1 of 1 for the Angels here? And say, hey, man, they're 100% with runners in scoring position. Congratulations on your only run coming that away. 13 runs. This is what we waited for the Rangers here. 2 games now south of 500 before the All-Star break. Can they get to 500 and say there's too much talent on this baseball team to be a 500 team? Let's hit that gas pedal in the second half and maybe get some help, because Nathan Eovaldi returning back to the lineup, you say, oh, well, how did he do last night? Really good. 6 innings pitched, no earned runs, a 1.62 ERA. And how about this, too? Soriano came into that game absolutely fantastic. If you asked me yesterday, I thought this game probably would have stayed under. 4 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. They touched him up. Then Al Dragahiri, whatever that name is, 2 innings pitched, 5 earned runs. Then Newman, as a position player, comes in and gives up 3 earned runs in that spot as well. So there you go, lumping up all pitchers in that game.
Yeah, DRS. And Nathan Eovaldi, great yesterday, and that is a great sign for Texas because, again, when you pair Eovaldi with DeGrom and some others this year for the Rangers, they have been lights out. It's been the offense. Again, not yesterday. 13 runs plated in Anaheim against the Angels. But Eovaldi was dealing with some injury concerns early, did not pitch from the end of May until the end of June. Now his 3rd start since that return, and his last 2, he has been lights out. 11 innings of work in the last 2, has not allowed a single earned run, including yesterday, blanking the Halos. A really good sign. Texas, as DRS said, still 2 games sub 500, a team that many were very high on this year, maybe being a sneaky dark horse contender to be in that American League pennant race. Has not been the case just yet, and still heavily favored DRS for Texas at a minus 480 price to miss out on the postseason. We approach the All-Star break, but we are well past the halfway point of this long MLB campaign. The Rangers, though, just 3.5 games back of their own divisional foe in Seattle for that 3rd and final AL wildcard spot. And it's not like there's 6 teams sandwiched in between. Only the Red Sox, who are a game back, stand in the way of Texas in that final spot.
Yeah, Eovaldi, you got the ground. Just stay healthy the rest of the way in that lineup. And Corey Seager's starting to wake up at the plate. That line, we never looked at this team as like, oh, the lineup might struggle coming into the year. It has struggled, but still hovering around 500. Couple more wins before the break. Boy, that can really turn the tide there in that division as well. And also that wild card race.
Plenty more around Major League Baseball on the way up next here on TEL.
I say, you crank that Soldier Boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Hit the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that Soldier Boy up here. Yep. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior in high school? Or maybe even in grade school?
Bar mitzvah slate. In the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend. The young Benny Steve was out there hitting it.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Tony Gwynn had 107 career at-bats against Greg Maddux. Never struck out once.
Oh,
that's nuts.
In 107 times. 107. Cam, if you took the modern player and said, are you going to face Maddux 107 times in a row? Like Vlad Guerrero Jr. and these guys, they'd strike out like 62 times type thing.
Exactly.
It'd be like 80 times. It'd be like whiffing.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I would be looking to get him in dynasty or keeper leagues. If I'm out of a league and I'm looking to rebuild for the next years ahead, that's where I'm looking. Yuri Perez is a special young pitcher that we're going to be talking about in that Paul Skeens, in that Tariq Skubal, in that grouping of guys. I think he can be that good. He's only 22 years old. He's the boy. So you're getting a situation here where Yuri Perez eventually is going to grow into that man of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Let's keep spinning it around Major League Baseball. Yesterday, under the arch, it was a gray day in St. Louis. I actually don't know if there was a ton of cloud coverage, but Sonny Gray was on the bump for the Redbirds, who DRS entered this week, dropping 5 of their last 6, and they have been one of the pleasant surprises this year, that being St. Louis in Major League Baseball, well on their way to skying over a win total of 75.5. But they have cooled down ever so slightly, needing a win to start off their midweek set against the Nationals. They got that despite Sonny Gray giving up a couple of earned runs early, but in the third, Brendan Donovan, a 2-run home run, RBI double out of Alec Burleson. St. Louis takes the lead. They never look back. They knock off the Nats 4-2.
Yeah, 9th win of the season there for Sonny Gray. He improves to 9-3. And also, still had a quality start. 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. Used to seeing him be maybe a little bit more dominant, but hey, it is what it is. Got pulled after 70 pitches and 6 strikeouts here. We're able to win because the bullpen held it down. But it's one of those teams, again, we didn't the anticipation that coming into the season, a lot of places picked the St. Louis Cardinals to be dead last in that division, to be games above 500, hovering there right around the All-Star break is pretty impressive for them. The Nationals on the other side, they're just floundering around. They have a lot of good players in that 1 through 9. They're trying to figure out what their starting staff is going to be in the future. Sort of that team in like, are we trying to win? Are we not trying to win? Let's get some young players in here, mix in some veterans. I like the future of Washington, but granted, it's not going to include their general manager and their manager. They were both fired this past week, and now you're just seeing them as a rudderless ship entering through the months of August and September. They'll be fun on the day-to-day. The team totals can hit at times, but also the pitching staff can give up runs. So don't give up on the Nationals, even if they're 37-54. There's still some meat left on the bone to make some money with them.
They've lost 4 straight. They are in the basement of the National League East, as DRS mentioned, but they are not all that far back of the Atlanta Braves. We'll talk about Atlanta in just a moment. How about the other team in the Show Me State in MLB? That would be the Kansas City Royals. Yesterday at Kauffman, have yourself a day, Nick Lofton. He tied up the game with a 2-run shot. The Pirates then, or he took the lead, I should say, for Kansas City with a 2-run shot in the home half of the 7th. The Pirates then tie up the game in the top of the 8th, so in the home half of the 9th, Lofton at the dish, couple of runners on for KC. He delivers the walk-off RBI single as the Royals beat the Pirates yesterday 4-3.
Yeah, Keller, a decent pitcher here, right? 6 2/3 innings, two earned runs. It wasn't good enough because why? The Pittsburgh Pirates, hey, that explosion on offense. You can't ask for much more if you're a Pirates starter to get 3 runs here. You better be able to hold the other team down because you're not going to get very much more. And by the way, Kansas City today, they're going to win comfortably again here as the Pirates will struggle to score once more. 38-55, the Pirates. They're the most insignificant team in Major League Baseball. Like you might throw, hey, the White Sox stink. We understand that. The Rockies stink.
Right.
But Pittsburgh just lets it known, if we win, if we lose, we don't even care. At least maybe the other organizations get embarrassed and care, not the Pittsburgh Pirates.
DRS, I would say those 2 teams in the cellar of their respective divisions in the National League, the Pirates in the NL Central, the Nats, who we just discussed, in the NL East because of the changes Washington made over the weekend, dismissing the GM and manager Davey Martinez. We expect them to be the big sellers at the deadline. And, of course, if you're talking the Buccos and trades, you're looking at some young pieces and talent. Looking at you, Paul Skeens, we shall see. For the Royals, a win, but still 3 games south of 500, 45-48. It is why the Detroit Tigers have a 14-game lead in that American League Central. How about the Miami Marlins? They had won 8 straight games in a row last week, their first 8-game win streak in nearly 2 decades. They continue to win on the road, make it 11 consecutive victories as they hammer the Reds in the Great American Ballpark 12-2. 11 consecutive road wins for the Fish, DRS. They are adding on, extending that franchise record.
Yeah, you don't really see this too much here. Nick Martinez gave up 10 earned runs in a game. Sometimes you approach that, like if they just try to let you get out of the first inning, give up 6 or 7 runs. It's very rare that a pitcher gives up 10 earned runs in a game before he's pulled out of it. 12 runs scored by the Marlins here. 12-2, man. That's a 10-run margin for them. Yeah. It's an interesting team, the Marlins. Not really going anywhere, but from time to time, man, over the past month, those bats have been absolutely red hot. By the way, quick point on like the Pittsburgh Pirates and Paul Skeens.
Go ahead.
Like, is it actually better for Major League Baseball? And I'm not talking about the actual like fan part of it, but if you are like the Dodgers would, the Yankees would get him, right? And he would just be an absolute hammer for both of those teams. And I think the most of Major League Baseball goes, just keep him in Pittsburgh. He'll never make the playoffs. He'll never be able to knock us out of a run because here's what you say, like trade him to a championship contender. All right, that's the Dodgers. Everybody would be absolutely furious at that move because I'll tell you one place not going, Milwaukee, right? He's not going to Tampa Bay. He's not going to the Marlins. So I think the rest of Major League Baseball, general manager, like, let's keep that guy in Pittsburgh here as long as you can. We'll enjoy that.
DRS, the franchises around the bigs, they want him pitching at PNC Park for the remainder of his days. I think the league office here in New York City for Major League Baseball probably desires another outcome. Yeah. And I don't know if you asked Paul Skeens what he would want the most of, but probably to be around a contender. It does seem that Pittsburgh is very far away from that. Did you see the party last night out in Sacktown? A party in California. Didier Fuentes on the bump for the Braves. And good Lord, did he get rocked yesterday. 8 earned runs in only a single inning recorded, including 3 home runs to Larry Butler, to Brett Rooker, to the other Max Muncy. And then in the home half of the second after Didier Fuentes was bounced, let's make sure we say this nice and slow. Nick Kurtz hits a grand slam home run for the Athletics as they paced the Braves 10-1, handing Atlanta its 5th consecutive loss. DRS, the Braves are our 4th team. We haven't discussed them in the fork perspective in the last few days, maybe even the last week. That fork is firmly in the Braves, and it's not going anywhere. That season is done. The Braves are not making the postseason.
No, it really is over him. The question is, like, who are they actually selling? Because they have some veteran pieces like Marcell Ozuna. The best part about this, too, is sometimes you just have such a bad season with injuries. You say, okay, let's just trade some pieces that probably won't be back next year. They're really not injured. Like, they're basically intact, and they are terrible on a night-to-night basis. And maybe they're just giving up on the first half where you're getting run up by the Athletics the rest of the way through. This is terrible, man.
We'll talk more about MLB next.
That is the idea. It really is for in-game live. You said it. The home team who's a double-digit or close to it anyway favorite and get off to a bad start and actually have them trailing by 5, 6, 7 to the point where you get it at pick'em. And I don't know how many times. I'd like to know a stat of how many times a team that's been favored by double digits, trailed by double digits, and actually won the game. I bet it's a lot.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
You've got issues up and down here. The bullpen is falling apart, to put it nicely. And have you seen the schedule for the Yankees for the rest of the month of July here? We have Seattle, then we have the Cubs, then you have Atlanta, then you have Toronto again in Toronto. That really didn't go all that well this week. And then you have Philadelphia and Tampa. Good luck to the Yankees in July here.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Devin Booker had to run the point when Chris Paul was hurt. And we're like, Devin Booker's a point guard. Devin Booker's not a point guard. Neither is Jalen Green. So I need to know, once you get rid of Bradley Beal, who cannot be on that team, who is the point guard? And then I think as a sixth man, I actually don't mind it with Jalen Green.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Time for the Blue Jays to really make another addition at the deadline. They just got Max Scherzer back. Can they get another pitcher to help out with the pitching staff, which I still think is their biggest issue? They're looking in to be in a good spot right now.
And also, Tom, like just the evolution of handicapping, right? Early in the season, like, I don't want to take this Blue Jays lineup. Like, it's really bad. Now, the past couple weeks, like, every day I'm looking at the Blue Jays going like, ooh, team total, RBI chances, guys that were in household names at the beginning of the year.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
The Atlanta Braves, only behind the LA Dodgers, had the second best price to win the National League pennant as this year got underway. And quickly and drastically, everything got off the rails. The Braves started 0-7 and have not been able to pick their heads above water or really be above 500 except for a few games, a few times about a month and a half ago. And yesterday, as they got hammered 10-1 by the Athletics in Sacramento, Atlanta now, DRS, is 39-51. Again, they have been our fourth team, but it's not really all that exciting. Last year, the fork was in the Astros, but they rallied to win the American League West and get to the postseason. We thought we were the reverse jinx and maybe, in a weird way, a good luck charm. Not the case for the Braves this year. 39-51. 12 games below 500. That fork is firmly in them, and it's not going anywhere, DRS. We might take the fork and throw it in the trash along with the meat that is the Atlanta Braves. Minus 4,000 now for the Braves to miss the National League playoffs. It is over. It is done. And to your point, last year you could blame a disappointing season for the Braves on the injuries to Ronald Acuna Jr. and Spencer Strider. Not so much this year. Chris Sale just got placed on the 60-day IL because of that fractured rib cage. No doubt about it. But outside of that, Atlanta has not had a long list or litany of injuries. They just have stunk, as we saw last night in California's capital.
Exactly, and it just doesn't seem to be getting any better. And it's almost like they're in a holding pattern. Like, hey, can we win a couple games here to sort of give us that urge to maybe make a move or try to bolster this roster? Or we'll give you a few more games to decide that we're actually going to be selling at this point. Because you're right, that Chris Sale injury is big, but everybody deals with starting pitchers going down from time to time at this point. You look at the lineup; it's got good baseball players in it that just aren't performing. And a 10-1 result, they just aren't hitting here. They're losing to bad baseball clubs when there's a chance that you can make that run. Because they did have that little mini run about a month ago. It's like, hey, you know what? The Braves are back in it. Couple games out of first place, getting back to 500. That's no longer the case right now. I can't put my finger on what's happening, but understand this too. Here's something interesting last night. You see who led off the game last night. It was Jurickson Profar. It wasn't Ronald Acuna. Tweak something while lifting weights. This will let you know what the season is looking like it's going to be the rest of the way. And here's the reason I say this. It means a lot to Ronald Acuna that the All-Star game is going to be in Atlanta. He's going to play in the All-Star game. He's going to be in Home Run Derby. I'm telling you right now, if this guy misses a couple games this week and then shows up in that Home Run Derby and also plays in the All-Star game, you'll know a lot about what's going on in that locker room for the Braves. I'm not saying it's wrong, but you tell me he misses, let's just say, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then is in the All-Star game. That's something to keep an eye on.
No doubt about it, DRS. And Ronald Acuna Jr. is one of our 5 participants already named for the Home Run Derby. He will play in the All-Star game. He is a starter. Where is the All-Star game? Oh, yeah, it would be in Atlanta. So the Braves' struggles this year are about to become even more front and center for you casual viewers paying attention to MLB as we get ready for that All-Star game. DRS yesterday in Boston, the Red Sox hammer the Rockies. What else is new? 10-2 the victory for the Sox. They have taken both of the first 2 games this week behind a ton of offense at Fenway. And the Rockies tracker 21-71, the record now for Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. They don't have good starting pitching. They don't have good bullpen. They can't hit outside of Colorado. It's just a really, really bad team. But also, when you get 80-degree temperatures in Boston with the wind blowing out and a bad baseball team coming to town, Boston is showing you they can drop the hammer on you and do it quickly there. So good times for Boston, and the Rockies just doing what they do. And by the way, did I see Chris Bryant say, hey, I'm not even ready to jog yet? I think I saw with his whatever injury he has. So
for that guy.
Congratulations to Chris. Chris Bryant took a ton of money. He's like, I'm not playing on this bad team. Just pay me to stay away, and we'll all be fine with it.
Yep, which is kind of the case now for Colorado. Oh, by the way, DRS, when you look at what the Red Sox are doing and what you mentioned yesterday, the American League East, entering Tuesday's slate, there were 9 teams around baseball that had scored at least 420 runs this year. 4 of those 5 in the AL East. The only team not meeting that distinction, the Baltimore Orioles. So know that for your over bets if there is a game featuring an AL East team throughout this summer. And that includes the Yankees, who are a dead under team for a good majority of June. Just keeping an eye on some award odds. Tarek Skubal, hefty favorite at -330 to win American League Cy Young. Hunter Brown, his worst start of the year yesterday at 7-1. Paul Skeens -130. DRS, still the favorite to win the National League Cy Young Award, but Zach Wheeler at -105, not far behind.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how you get graded, because let's just say Skeens and Wheeler do the exact same thing down the stretch, but the Phillies are playing a high leverage situation and Pittsburgh isn't. Does he get the nod?
You think he should? Hour number 2 next.
I say, you crank that Soldier Boy, right? You Darvish back on the mound. Haven't seen this guy in a minute right now. Yeah, man, crank it, man. Get it going up. Get the high. Yeah, let's go. Crank that Soldier Boy up here. Yep. Yeah, I mean, come on, man. That was big back then. Where were you? Senior in high school? Or maybe even in grade school then?
Bar mitzvah slate. In the bar mitzvah slate each and every weekend. The young Benny Steve was out there hitting.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Tony Gwynn had 107 career at-bats against Greg Maddux. Never struck out once.
Oh, that's nuts.
In 107 times. 107. Cam, if you took the modern player and said, are you going to face Maddux 107 times in a row? Like Vlad Guerrero Jr. and these guys, they'd strike out like 62 times type thing.
Exactly.
It'd be like 80 times. It'd be like whiffing.
Sports Rage tonight, only on SportsGrid.
Scrounge out a couple of quarters from under the couch to go trade for somebody who actually makes some money. I don't think that he would actually do that. That's not in Hal's style the last couple of years, especially in season. I saw they signed that Heimer Candelario, who the Reds released. That's more their style, going the discount aisle as opposed to trading for someone who's actually having a huge year like Suarez.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
I would be looking to get him in dynasty or keeper leagues. If I'm out of a league and I'm looking to rebuild for the next years ahead, that's where I'm looking. Yuri Perez is a special young pitcher that we're going to be talking about in that Paul Skeens, in that Tariq Skubal, in that grouping of guys. I think he can be that good. He's only 22 years old. He's the boy. So you're getting a situation here where Yuri Perez eventually is going to grow into that man of a pitcher.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.